record. So just to recap, that today is all about surrendering. So who would love to start sharing and surrendering to the wisdom within and sharing whatever comes up in this very moment without feeling that there will be any judgment or anything of fear or resistance? Yannick?
So yeah, today I think I really need you, all of you, the group, the most. And I will be quite honest, it's been the most difficult day for me since the beginning of the process. Last night, I slept 15 hours, and it was just normal. Like I woke up like it was just a normal night. And today, I was the most hungry I've been since we did like the water fast with like the 3 dry fast days. You know how hungry you were those days? That's how I feel today. Like I was I was with my girlfriend earlier this morning, and we were sitting in the kitchen, and I see this jar of peanut butter, and then there's like popcorn on the shelf, and then she's having noodles, and I'm thinking like, oh my god, I think I might lose my marbles here, because like my stomach is in pain. I am so hungry, and I'm at a loss here, because I was really hoping, to have the hunger go away. But today it's been just out of control, and I I was dying to just, even today's my dry fast day, so I even had anything to drink at all. But I I feel like I feel like I'm an addict who's just going through withdrawal, and this is absolutely awful. Um, it's been up and down. Like earlier this week, I was actually doing exercises with some weights, and I was exercising, and I was actually was dancing for hours and hours and enjoying it so much. As where now, for whatever reason, it went down, and I'm not even kidding. This is the toughest day for me since the beginning, and I'm really hoping to get some support from you, or at least advice, or anything that you can have for me is most welcome.
I really want to support you and encourage. Just we're so proud that you did not succumb to your addiction. I know you're feeling addicted or whatever. You didn't, you held strong. Good for you. Rah
Thank
rah.
you.
Seriously. Respect, because I caved. You're strong. It shows a strength there, I think. I don't know.
Oh, thank you.
So what I'm hearing here as well, that what Christina is saying, that you are an inspiration, Yannick. Even though it seems so tough for you, you're very inspiring, and your progress and commitment to the process, and that awareness. Also, there is, I don't know, Eric mentioned what has been happening for him, but we didn't go really into the depths of it. And I'm not sure, Yannick, if you have been observing your stools, but very often when we go really to the next step or next stage of pranic process and this cleansing, deep cleansing, very often the parasites become very active, because when we consume a lot of food or even acidic forming liquids, that's when the parasites thrive. They really want that. It's almost like, that's the addiction for them. They're hungry, and they just kind of calling, come on, bring me some food, we're dying here. And once the body is really clean, those parasites can't live in that environment. So I would just encourage you to observe it as it is, and almost like trying to separate yourself from it for a temporary period. It's like you are not the hunger. A part of you is hungry. And it may be a parasite, may be a different part, I don't know. But it sounds like that's what has been happening for me. This almost, because it's so linked, like gut is very linked to the neural pathways. And you know, as working in the health field, you know how many connections. There's like so many connections with the gut and the brain that it's even logical to say how much it's connected, and those thoughts of hunger and this death and addiction will come up because the part of you there, and it could be a parasite, is really calling for it. It's really hungry. It wants to eat. It wants something to feed him. And so those parasites, the more you keep on and persisting, they will eventually come out, whether through the front or back, I don't know. And I encourage you, once you know, as you're on the liquids, slowly, when you integrate and bringing back some, maybe not necessarily solids, but maybe perhaps to the smoothie some psyllium husk, something that actually helps the movement of the bowels and loosen things up, just to add to the smoothies, let's, for example, just to help those worms to come out. Now, I'm not saying that worms are bad, because we haven't spoken about it much, and I don't know if Ray has mentioned anything about parasites, because parasites are part of nature, and their purpose is to eat the waste in the system. Okay, and so when we eat a lot of fats, and especially protein, animal protein, but in particular, the parasites will be there to eat the waste. Now, once we clean on this process, if there's no waste, what happens? Well, they try to survive. They will hang on to anything to survive in this nice warm environment when they're in. And so in a way, it's like, Yannick, you're trying to kill them and they're just not liking it. So they will use all the tricks there. You know, you're hungry. I want these noodles. Come on, give it to me. You know you want it. It's like, you know, that part with the connected with the monkey mind, you know, and I'm saying in a very, very, very kind way, non-judgmental way, because it's not your mind, it's actually the thoughts of the parasites, because they are themselves are consciousness as well. So, and since you connected in that way, you have the awareness of those thoughts. So it's not your hunger that you're feeling, even though, I mean, it's inside of you. So it's yours in that way. But at the same time, it's not. So if you,
Would it,
yeah.
Alright. Would it be helpful for him to maybe isolate from like tempting situations? Like maybe stay at his place, like away from, I don't want to mention anything.
Yeah, that's fine. And I can hear how caring and thoughtful, you know, you are, Christina. I want to assist. And I have a belief that Yannick would probably know the best how to deal with it, even though he's reaching out. And that's wonderful. And whether being close to someone, with someone, and being aware of these things and being here and discussing it, it's already itself helpful, or whether there is something else that you may need to do, you know, physically, for example, or even spiritually, you know, and accepting that part of you that is hungry. Because after all we really want in this process, and today is a beautiful example of that, is really to surrender to the process, not rejecting that, and just holding gently whatever is coming up, even this hunger and this addiction, you know. Okay, so you're an addict. Okay, so what? What do you do about it? You know, the really wonderful thing about you being an addict, Yannick, you are aware of it and you can admit it. I am an addict, right? I want these noodles. I really want them. So just aware, you know, it's like this process, you know, 12 steps of addiction. The first step is to admit that you have the problem. And I'm saying a problem, it's as a name, because you know there's no problem whatsoever. You are perfect the way you are, but how we see things, that's when it becomes a problem. When it, you know, we almost like the way we perceive things become, we create it, we create the problem in the first place. Just like, you know, someone says something maybe negative or, you know, about us, we can respond to it in multiple ways. You know, we can make it a problem or we can make it a lesson, like, wow, what am I learning here about this person, right? Yannick?
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what Matt and Bobby have to say. How is the process for you? How are you guys doing? And you, Christina, as well. How are you all doing? Bobby?
What I do on I do a water fast, because when I tried doing another dry fast, it took me 2 days to recover. And there's just a lot of things I have to do. So I do a water fast. And on those days, I isolate, you know, I basically stay away from everybody, so there's no temptation. But I've noticed a couple of times falling into old patterns of behavior where I'm looking for something to eat, and I don't really feel hungry or anything, but it's like, you know, something you do when you're bored or something. But I also have a process that I do. It's called EFT, and it's tapping points on your hand. And I have found that when I just focus on letting that go, that all of a sudden that what I was looking for doesn't matter anymore. So I've used that in many instances when people, you know, might say something or something and I'm reacting to it. Then I go through the hand things and all of a sudden it simply does not matter. It's been very helpful to have that tool, and I can actually send you the information if you would like. But you just, you know, you simply go, oh my God, what am I going to do here? And it's very simple because you don't have to figure it out. You just focus on what you're feeling and you go through the points, and all of a sudden it's like, it does not matter anymore. It probably would even work on that severe hunger feeling that just like driving you nuts. It might just tame it down, like, well, it doesn't matter anymore. And I've been using that quite a bit when I've come to things like, okay, you know, I need, and then I remember to do it. So it's kind of like, I know I have this tool, and I always tell people that, you know, you realize that you've got something you want to deal with, and you realize you have the tool to deal with it, but you got to do it, you know. So it's pretty simple, but I have found that to be pretty much a saver for me when I'm in old patterns of behavior. Habits, you know. And one thing I'll add to what, since I generally leave early, it was interesting because, like I said, I've been doing cooking for other people, and I will taste, but I'm not interested in eating it. I am just floored. I mean, I taste it to make sure it tastes good, to be able, you know, do I need to adjust something? But I'm thinking, I don't care if I eat this or not. So I'm getting to enjoy something I like to do. And then, you know, I have elderly neighbors and things like that. But I am really surprised that, you know, I can taste it. This really tastes good. And I am not interested in it. So I'm quite pleased with that respect.
Come on, Matt.
Well, okay, I can give you where I've been. Okay, so I went like I'd said before, as I went through, afterwards, I started tasting things a little right afterwards. I started doing broth and coffee and tea and stuff like that. And my energy went up um during that second week, which I was kind of impressed. But then I was wasn't losing weight and I wanted to lose weight, so I went back to where last week two days I did dry fasting, and this week will be, well, no, the last 2 weeks I think it was. I did dry fasting 3 days one day, 1 week, and 2 days the other week, and I did tea and coffee. And but this Sunday, man, oh my goodness, I don't know what it was. I just started feeling on the edge of nauseous, and it was kind of that a feeling I've felt in the past when I drank coffee on an empty stomach, which coffee hadn't been affecting me. It didn't seem like I gained too terrible much from it, but maybe I got a little, or because I know caffeine doesn't give you energy, it actually just makes you feel like you're not tired, so it's a little different. But so I chilled out on that. I hardly had anything on Sunday just because I just didn't stinking feel like it. Today's a dry day, and I'm gonna Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week are gonna be dry days, but I'm still wanting to go on a little bit of bike trip before I go to on my anniversary thing with my wife. So it's going to be like a 3 day, 80 to 100 miles a day. And so I kind of need I need more than what I got because the last 2 weeks I have been a zombie. Yannick, man, like one day, I think it was last week, I went to bed at 10 or 11 and I didn't get out of bed till 1:30. And the rest of the day I was still like, all I did was move from the bed to the couch because I didn't feel like stinking moving. And this week's been pretty much that. I am so thankful that my lady is so supportive. She says at least you'll be supportive of me when I go through this, because she she's probably not going to be as hardcore about it, um, but yeah. So anyway, trying to think, I'm going to start doing broths and stuff again starting tomorrow. Um, and I don't know about the coffee, man. I don't know. I don't know if it had anything to do with coffee. I couldn't even drink it. I drank like 5 sips and I'm going, I can't do this, man. So I drank some tea and I was cool with that. Um, and strangely enough, I also been feeling my gallbladder. I had they told me I had gallstones, had x-rays and all that junk about 7 years ago. They wanted to cut it out, and well, I told them, see ya, and did my own thing. And I still got my gallbladder, but I might still have some stones. But I've kind of earned those because I ate all kinds of crap. So I strangely enough, and it might be because I put butter in my coffee that is kind of working the gallbladder. Um, and not sure, but anyway, I'm just saying I've been feeling not great and lethargic. Um, but I'm hopeful. So we'll see what happens the next week and a half, because it would be like Wednesday of next week I would leave out. And so, and and then I mean, I'm not in any hurry because my woman's gonna eventually catch me and pick me up. But um, you know, it it it'd be nice not to have to call her and say, "Hey, I'm like can't move and I'm on the side of the road. Can you come get me?" Because I've been there, man. I did a bike trip once where I was watching my ketones. I was so lethargic I could hardly stink and move. But I fasted for 2 days while I was biking, 8 hours a day, just to see what happens. Anyway, so that's kind of where I've been. Trying to think anything else that's pertinent. I haven't been exercising this week and half of last week just because I just I felt like my body was just screaming at me to stink and rest. So unlike what I usually do, I actually tried to listen and let it do whatever it's gonna do. I don't know what it's doing, so I figure it's smarter than I am, so I'll just chill out. So that, I think that's the best I can give you right now.
Thank you, Matt. Was that helpful, Yannick?
Yes. Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. It feels good because I'm hearing that your energy level does fluctuate, and I'm going through something similar. So it's good to know that we're all in a similar boat. I was wondering one question perhaps regarding the dry fast. Do you go in like in increment of 24 hours? Do you do it for 24 hours, or do you skip a day and then only drink at noon the day afterwards? That's more than 24 hours if we do that, right? You know what I
The
mean?
way the way I do it is, okay, so I'm dry today. So what happened was last night, whenever I stopped drinking, I think I might have drank something as late as 9 o'clock. Okay, because I didn't drink much yesterday. And so if I'm doing a 24-hour dry fast, then what will happen is, as far as I'm concerned, if I get up in the middle of the night and it's past midnight and I want to drink something, I do. But I prefer if I wait till in the morning. But sometimes with all this stuff, my sleep is funky, man. Sometimes I'll go to bed and I'll just lay there for stinking hours. So I'll just get up so I don't bug my wife, go out on the couch and listen to a book until I fall asleep. Um, and but then if say I have 2 days in a row where I'm drinking or tasting, then like let's say I taste something at like 7, well then that's 5 hours, and then I won't touch anything until at least 9 in the morning. So Ray said 14 hours, so I shoot for the 14 hours and I'll do that. But when it's a 24 hour, it's at least 24 hours, but it usually ends up being like 29. So that's what I do.
There was something that I had read in intermittent fasting, and they recommended as well a 24-hour dry fast. But they said what you do is you start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it's like the next day at 4 o'clock. So it's 24 hours, but you're still eating 2 days in a row. So it's interesting how whatever works for you and how your body needs it to be. Because if you need to be physically active, such as I've got a lot to take care of here, and we're getting toward the end of the season. So I'm very busy trying to get everything done at closing everything up. I can't afford to have 2 or 3 days where I'm on the couch and I'm out of it. It's been beautiful weather, so I've been able to do a lot. My energy has come up to where I'm extremely physically active and been able to maintain all day. So I'm very pleased with that. And that's just with and the one thing I still can't do is I can't, I have a juicer. I still can't drink juice straight. It's too sweet for me. So I water it 50-50, and I have 2 of those during my regular days. So I'm very pleased with the energy level and how things are going. I'm not as much of a hurry as what Matt is. I figure the weight at a certain point in time, as long as I see progress, I'm okay with that. I need to have my energy level to be solid and strong and be able to do the things I need to do over the next few weeks. And then I can kind of back off and not worry so much about it. But so anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. And it's and as I said, those times when I'm really kind of like, oh my gosh, I do the tapping thing, and that really just dissipates it. It's just like a non-issue anymore. So anyway, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I've had this period of time to where I can focus on this because I'm not where I want to be, but I need energy. I need to do stuff. So, and when And when I trade, I'm on a treadmill because it's the idea of being training my body to move, because I used to sit on my hind end for 20 years pretty much, except for when I came home. But something I was wondering, okay, now Ray was talking about he was like 80-20, okay, but he talked like he didn't need, it was kind of a mixed message to me, okay, where he didn't really need the nutrients from food, so he would go ahead and eat the cake or the ice cream or the whatever. At the same time, then the level 4 guys who don't eat or drink anything, they're these scrawny little dudes. So and he's come up with what works for him. But my concern there, or thoughts or questions, would be, if that's where I'm at, let's say I'm at the 80-20 thing, what's the wisest thing for that 20 to be? I mean, do I need to, would it be best to make that living things? Because quite frankly, I've been doing broth and all that stuff's cooked. I thought about I really'd like to enjoy it. And I've not tried like a raw broth, where you juice your stuff and maybe heat it up to 110 degrees. That sounds kind of nasty to me, because there's something that happens when you cook them and the way it tastes. But I don't know. I haven't really done it, but I've listened to the raw people, but I don't know. Any thoughts there? And then the juice, unless I juice it myself, like fruit juice, something like that, it's, as best that I understand, they've already heated it, so you're just basically drinking flavored sugar as far as your body's concerned. So I don't know.
I actually do a raw fruit juice, such as, I may do strawberries, strawberries, kiwi, and watermelon, because watermelon adds a lot of liquid to it. Or I can do blueberries, pineapple, and watermelon. And again, the watermelon is mainly to add the liquid to it, so I don't have to use as many of the fruits. Apple and kiwi are really a good combination. I use live fruit and make the juice from that. So I believe, because you get the enzymes with it that helps your body digest it, so it's not as much of a shock on your system. But and I do all kinds of combinations. When my peaches came in, I was doing strawberry and peaches with some watermelon. And then I have apples now. I have an orchard. So that's why I'm saying there's a lot of things that I'm closing up and finishing up for the year. But it's been really nice to be able to have that fresh fruit or something. I've done some vegetables and stuff. It's okay. I prefer the fruit. So either way, it works really well if you have a good juicer. So.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if I can add something about those parasites as well, and Matt, if you're open to hearing about coffee, because as I mentioned before, parasites really thrive on acidic environment, and fats, protein, sugars, complex sugars. So anything like when you said butter and coffee, it's feeding the parasites inside, that's taking energy out of you as well. Because remember that parasite is a living organism that takes energy out of you as well. So you really feeding that parasites, right? So, but what about the energy for you? So in order to make it really sustainable for you, is to create that alkaline environment, and maybe not necessarily just water, but as you was already acknowledging, what was coming up for you, something alive, raw juices probably are the best option, because in fruit, the sugars are simple sugars, and parasites don't like them. They like the complex sugars that they break. Remember, these are the waste machines. So they want something to break down and the fruit is just no good to them. Like it's like, you know, like so yeah.
Any thoughts about tea?
Tea,
I definitely prefer black tea.
yeah, green tea is the one that brings you energy. Okay, green tea is the way to go to if you manage to, you know, go through the taste. Sometimes the taste bitter if we pour boiling water. So if you put like the water, you know, between 60 and 80 Celsius degrees, I'm not sure how it's in American Fahrenheit. It's not boiling water, then, and don't soak it in for a long time, then it will be really lovely taste, very gentle, and that brings energy, the green tea.
Okay.
Okay. If you
I
really,
had an unexpected experience regarding green tea earlier this week. Is usually I wait until noon to take something, but for some reason I was going to work and I was so like I needed something like a hot beverage in the morning, and I was like, oh, what if I just have this one green tea and then at noon I can resume, you know, whatever. And I usually leave home around 5 a.m. because I work at 6 a.m. And I had a cup of green tea. And lo and behold, before 8 a.m., I was starving so much. It felt like it made me hungry. It felt extremely delicious at the moment, felt really good in my stomach, but literally 2 hours later, right, it made me feel like I either want another green tea or another beverage, or it made me crave, or I guess it's been my theme for the last week, is I've been craving a lot. But for some reason, I love green tea, but I wonder, has anybody here had any experience by drinking or having anything in the morning and then it makes you hungrier or more craving for stuff? Have you had that, or is it just me?
well, I personally can vouch for water with lemon juice to do in the morning if you're breaking the fast from the night and there's no hunger after that. And it brings the alkaline as well level of and start all the things working. So that's just what I do, and that's what has been helping me. You can do it straight away in the morning or later, but it's always about, it's not necessarily like what time, but what is the first thing that you break the fast with? Is it alkaline, like juice, lemon juice, for example, or is it acidic, like coffee? So, and remember that you have those choices to make. Ginger is also good if you add ginger to the water or lemon juice. And if fruit juices, like with you, Bobby, is too much, just watering them down. That's fine. Yeah. Whatever works for you. But there are specific things that will just help the process. If you either helping, you know, bringing that energy level up, or you're helping the parasites to thrive and make you feel really, really hungry, you know? So, yeah, Christina?
Yeah, Yannick, I would say that maybe if I'm not that hungry, but I feel like, I don't know, somehow like I have something, I like don't feel like I really need it, but I'm like, all right, let me just have something. It's like it opens up my appetite, you know, really does. It's like where initially it was like totally optional, take it or leave it. But for maybe somebody offered me something, or I'm gonna go to so and so to pick something up if you want anything. Okay, sure. And then I start eating it and it switches, you know, it's not so take it or leave it anymore. You know, it's like now when I'm finished with whatever, maybe I should go out and get something else, you know, like the desires like multiplied. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
That's so true. That's been my experience as well in the past. If I have even one bite, it makes me more hungry. And I know I've posted it on Zoom, not Zoom, WhatsApp earlier this week, is I've been invited. My cousin has invited me to his son's birthday. His son is my godson, and he's turning 7. And I've been thinking about this a lot because as a tradition, when the birthday cake arrives and then everybody cuts a slice and everybody has a piece, and it's a tradition. It's not about, nobody eats a birthday cake because they want to feed themselves. It's a tradition. It's a gathering of family around a cake for a celebration. And now I'm debating, like, okay, should I turn down that cake, or should I make a deal out of it? Or where's the line? Where do I draw the line? Is it like earlier today, my girlfriend's daughter, she's 12, and she walks to me with a bunch of cookies, a bag of cookies. She says, here, just have a cookie. And then she hands it to me without really, not, no, it was not an option. She just gave me the cookie. I did not eat the cookie, but I was like, am I at war with food, or should I eat the cookie? But I know it's going to make me hungry. So I basically gave it to my girlfriend. So it was like, okay, it was fine. But for Halloween, we're preparing a party where a lot of people will be invited, and there will be, it's called apple bobbing. You know, when you put like apple in a big thing and you have only with your mouth, you have to go and fetch that apple and then take a bite out of it. Or they would hang donuts on a string, and again, with your hands on your back, you have only your mouth and try to grab a bite of the donut. So I'm going to be part of those games, right? So the goal of the game is to grab a bite of donut. So am I gonna, what should be my proper response here? Am I gonna say, no, sorry, it's not noon yet, nothing in my mouth? Or am I gonna go along with, the party, and am I gonna have that piece of donut? Am I gonna have that bite of apple? Or am I gonna take that piece of cake on my godson's birthday? These are all questions I'm juggling with these days because I don't know where to draw the line. And I would love to hear your take on that.
I know what I've done in the past, because as I said, I was raw vegan for 5 years and everybody knew it. So they knew I didn't eat cake. They knew I didn't do that. But if you're a part of a party, it's not going to hurt anything to bite into that apple. And then if you want to chew it up or spit it out, one bite's not going to hurt anything. And then if you're going to participate in the donut thing, a bite's never going to hurt anything. So if you're feeling bad about not participating, that's not a good thing. You want to be able to enjoy your life and enjoy the circumstances. But the idea is you have control over that. How much of that do you want? Do you want the bite of the donut, or are you going to finish the whole thing? So that's where maybe where do you want to draw that line? And it really is up to you how you want to participate in this, or even the birthday cake, because Ray said on his birthday, in his year without food, he had birthday cake because it was his birthday. So maybe not a big piece, maybe a sliver slice, and you're participating. So you choose at what level you want to participate in this. And then the next day is a new day. It just is a clean slate. So it's really, you don't want to say, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. But when I was raw vegan, people knew. They never even offered it to me because they knew that it wasn't in my realm. But anyway, so you've got to do what you're comfortable with and what you feel good, and making sure that you're honoring yourself in this journey, but not feeling deprived of being a part of the social events. So it really is like when my granddaughter invited me for breakfast, it's like, okay, how do I handle this? But they had a fruit sorbet, and Ray said something soft, and it was fruit, like a frozen fruit, but it was very soft and almost pudding texture. So it was, and after 2 bites, I didn't want any more. So anyway, it worked for me. I was able to enjoy some time with her without her feeling like, oh, I got to eat by myself. And we had a nice conversation. So I really enjoyed the time. And to me, that's what it's all about when you're with people and you're enjoying their company. What is it that you want to take out of it? And where is it that you want to draw your own line? Don't try to figure it out. you'll know at that time what's right for you right then and there. Anyway, that's what's worked for me.
I kind of want to jump on what you just said, Bobby, because usually when I'm in the dark and you guys can't see me, it's because I'm in the car near my meditation center that I participate at. And on Sundays we buy like fruits and cakes and just stuff to like kind of eat over at a community table. And typically I try to spend a lot and make it pretty and abundant, blah blah blah, different people. But once not a lot of people contributed, so I thought, oh no, like crap, what do we do? But the reality is that people stayed and they chatted, and kind of food was not really as big of a deal as I thought it was. It's basically just like an excuse to get together, to mingle. And so I was surprised that all this money I've spent trying to offer a lot of food. It's like the mingling, which is the goal, happens anyway with or without food. Yeah.
Hello, Shay. What has been happening?
Hi, lovelies.
Yellow.
So is there any other questions you might have? Any other shares?
Yes, I do have one.
Mm-hmm.
What can we do to increase our energy levels?
Mm-hmm. Anybody would love to share their comments before I jump in?
I can only tell you from my experience during those 2 weeks, and I'm gonna assume it's gonna go the same way. I just observed. I didn't. I mean, there's probably people that have greater disciplines than I do. I mean, we're talking 5 minutes of meditation in the evening and in the morning, and then the 5 rites, and then I exercised, and then after about a week and a half, some started just coming. I mean, and I could calculate it. I mean, when you watch your heart rate, my heart rate, like serious, 130 beats per minute. And I barely left the driveway is how bad it was at the beginning, shortly after the 3 days dry fast. And then after 2 weeks, my heart rate, I was doing the same stuff, and my heart rate was probably lower than when I started back when I was eating. My energy level wasn't as high yet, but my heart rate and blood pressure had done something totally different. And I don't know that I did anything different. It just came. Now I'm assuming that's different for everybody. I don't know. I mean, Grace would have a better answer than I would as far as, multiple different people, what if there was something specific they could do. I'm all game for if there's some abracadabra, do this and then this happens. Give it up, Grace.
Well, it's same like I can share from my own experience, and what has been working for me energy-wise is always the movement. So, and it can be any kind of movement, doesn't matter. It depends on your current level of energy. So whether it will be just movements with the body, just simple, just moving the body, or the Falun Dafa, or your usual exercises that you have. But for me, what I've been doing for me is walking. So every morning I walk around my property. The reason for it is that remembering that the lymphatic system is the one that needs to kick in. And also between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m., depending on the zone where you are, that's where the kidneys need to wake up. So if we don't wake up those parts of us that really pump up the system and get rid of the waste, we're going to feel sluggish. And no matter how much coffee or green tea we're going to drink, it's just going to be like a cover up. So it's up to us to help the body and really surrendering to also that wisdom of the body, because remembering that it's not our mind. We can't control the body in that way. It's quite the opposite. We need to surrender to the body. The body is such an intelligent mechanism, more intelligent than what we think we know about it. Remembering that even with science, we try to study the body, but the body knows itself. You know, it's us when we analyze, when we're trying to figure out, you know, it's like going backwards a little bit with this process. And that's fine. By giving yourself also this acknowledgement of the rest when the body needs to rest, it's okay. Perhaps some of you, you know, underestimated the power and the need of this process, how much energy it will take also out of you in order to help the body to heal itself and to come on the right path. It takes time. There's no rush. You know, we can't just changing into, you know, in even like in those 2 months together. It's a process, and it may take years. So what has been worked for me energetically wise is moving, because we are the energy. If we're not moving ourselves, it's going to be stagnant, and the lymphatic system will show up. It will be stagnant. It will inflame as well from inside out, and we'll feel tired and, you know, exhausted. Yeah, so this is just what's been working for me, and I would encourage everybody to do that. When you wake up, move the body, first thing you do. When you open your eyes, don't try to, you know, stay there for another half hour. Wake up, get up, move the body, get the kidneys working. So, and I've been observing, this has been working for me, so that's it. I have no other wisdom to share. No magic pill. Christina.
So again, I'm gonna jump on what you last person said. And like Tony Robbins totally like kind of agrees with this, what Grace just said. He talks about having like a rebounder. So it's basically like something you jump on, and so it moves the lymph. And let me tell you, it's so fun. You feel like a kid, and I just smile with delight. I'm so happy. And so during his events, he also has you like dancing. And so it's moving, just like Grace said. And it's wild to see how like your mood changes from like, you know, at home, chill, calm, like whatever, to like, yeah, you know, and you're like having a great time. And now I'm like, let's go do stuff, you know? It's like, I don't know. So I agree with Grace. And so does Tony Robbins.
Yeah. If you can invest in a rebouncer, yeah, I've got one too. So, right?
I agree with that. I love dancing. And after I don't do it first thing in the morning, I'm just not quite ready for that. But anyway, I do walk outside, go do my sun gazing at some point, and I do that before I do all my Balandafa and my 5 rights and my other exercises. But then after all that's done, and cycling as well, then I put on some dance music and I just, and it gets everything revved up and I'm ready to go. And it's like, okay, there's no procrastination here, you know? So it definitely, it's fun for sure. It puts you in a good mood. And not only does it get the body moving, but it puts you in a good mood. Now on to something else. I have a question, and it's like, I'm wondering how one would respond. Things have changed again for me. as I mentioned to everybody, I'm looking for a place to live. I have to move out of my place by the end of October. And then, and I'm, you know, this whole time I've been going, okay, you know, now what's going to happen? Where am I going to live? I was going to go off to the coast, Vancouver Island, and my son's out there, and so that's what the plan. And but still not knowing where. I mean, there are no places to rent there. There's, you know, it's just the same everywhere, right? And so then all of a sudden, I went to help my sister. My sister lives with my mom, and so she's needed a break. So I said, okay, I'll come and, you know, be there for my mom and for a couple days, and you can go off and socialize and be with your boyfriend. Okay. So then, as it turns out, I'm walking into my mom's house, and as I'm walking in, my little sister was just leaving, and I said to her, yeah, you know, I said, she made some comment about how nasty my mom was to my other sister. And I said, yeah, well, she's always been that way to us, you know? And then I said, yeah, there's no way I'll live with my mom. I would rather live in my car on Vancouver Island this winter than live with my mom again. And so I go in, and as it turns out, everybody decided, yeah, my mom's getting kind of bad. She's paranoid. She's feeling anxious to be by herself. And so now she's ready to move into a home where there are other people. So they had decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to get my mom moved out as soon as possible, maybe a couple months that'll happen. Then we're going to put the house up for sale. And so then I thought, oh, and then this image of my sister who's living there popped into my mind. I could see her on the ground, just overburdened with all this stuff that she has to do to get the house ready, you know, and it just came to me. I thought, well, that energy, that frequency, that doesn't feel good, you know. Like it was actually feeling the energy of that situation. And then right then and there I said, okay, I'll move in, I'll help you, I'll do all the paperwork, gather all mom's, you know, paperwork together and get it all organized up, and so you don't worry about that. And then we went through everything, and I said, okay, this is, you know what, and then this is how we'll do it, and this is how we'll proceed and all that. And so that lifted a great burden from my sister, of course. But it was interesting because it wasn't immoral. It wasn't a decision based on morals. Oh, everyone will think you're such a wonderful daughter. Oh, how nice of you to help your sister. To tell you the truth, if my whole soul said, no, you're going off to the coast, fuck them, whatever, you know, it's up to them, whatever happens there. It's not my concern, you know, I'm going that way. And so, but it was based on frequency that it's hard for me to explain, but I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It wasn't based on anybody else's thoughts or feelings or society's thoughts or feelings, what should be done, what shouldn't be done. Yes, that ends up being the result, you know, of when let's say you were in a situation and you had no information about the situation. You had to make a decision, but you had no information. So how are you going to make that decision, what to do? Well, you make it based on, for me, I visualize being in that situation, and then I gauge how I feel. And it's usually in my upper heart center. Okay, what's the feeling? Because even if I have tremendous fear about going into that situation, or just don't want to, or I can think of all kinds of reasons why I shouldn't do that. You know, like there's a job, you know, that I was supposed to do. This is years ago, and the supervisor phoned me from this other company and wanted me to ask me if I'd be interested in the contract, and thought, oh man, I can't stand that supervisor. I've worked for him a couple of times. He's an asshole. And I knew the deadline was in 2 weeks, and it normally takes me 2 months to gather everything up and be prepared for that deadline. So I knew it was going to be stressful. And then I thought about being there, and it was like filled with light. I thought, oh, okay. And then I just said, okay, I want $5 more. And then I just sort of, and he says, well, we have other candidates. And I thought, oh, fine, you know, if it was meant to be, I'll get the contract. And if it wasn't meant to be, they'll give it to somebody else. No big deal. I just let it go. And I got the contract, and I learned how to work with that supervisor. And I was working with a couple other women. And we had a great time, lots of laughs. And, you know, so there you go. I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy just because, you know, when I visualized the situation, I saw all this light. It just means pick that. Say yes to that, right? And so, yes, I picked moving there, even though I swore I'd never move there, but it's a temporary situation. It's not like I'm moving there for a long period with my mom. We're moving to get things organized to move her into a home and then sell the house. And so, you know, yes, I'll be looking for another place in the spring, most likely, but okay. And so I was okay with it. I felt neutral and I was okay to go there. Okay, so why am I saying this? Okay, so here I am, I'm moving into this situation. I know, you know, I'm going to get all kinds of criticism from my mom and my sister, like I'm some sort of weirdo health fanatic, because that's what she believes about me anyway, even though, you know, for years I've gone over and eaten hot dogs and cookies or whatever, right? So how does one approach? So I'm asking everybody else's opinion and how they might approach this. Coming into that situation, I've lost a lot of weight. I'm looking at my body and I'm going, okay, that's great. I can now fit into my 26 jeans, which is where I was a couple of years ago before COVID. And I could fit into my zero pencil skirts now, you know, that I'll never be wearing probably again because they're for work. But anyway, they're still in my closet just in case. And you know, I'm bony on top. And yet I have all the skin. And what happens, of course, when you've been, you know, I spent, you know, lots of years lifting very heavy weights in the gym. And although I never went into competing, I could have. But I mean, I wasn't big like they have in the magazines. But, you know, and I gained 40 pounds when I was pregnant. So unfortunately, when you get a certain age and the elastin and collagen leave your skin, you have all that skin that was, you know, fine after your 40-pound pregnancy, you know, now is there. And so I don't want to look like that. I know this is a process, but to people like my family looking at me, they would be horrified. So how would they see this in me and say, she's anorexic, she needs help, you know, she's psychologically, you know, screwed or something like that, right? So there you go. I'll just put that out there.
Anybody want to share before I jump in? And thanks for sharing, Shay. I have experienced that myself within my family. It wasn't my mother or my sister, it was my partner at the time. And what I've experienced is I had to look at myself, how much strength I've got, because it affected me. And at that time, I wasn't feeling strong enough. I felt it's almost like wanting to believe in what they're saying, what he was saying. You know, I was sick, that I'm sick, I've got cancer, there's something wrong with, you know, with me. I should start eating and fatten up, and especially because there is a strong connection with the person. It's like you trust that person, that, you know, in a way, like we invited people around us to bring something about us that we're not aware of, but not necessarily what they're saying, but how we perceive it, what they're saying, how we respond to that, what we're saying. So my question would be to you, Shay, how do you feel about them feeling horrified or making those judgments, making the comments about the way you look or that you're this weirdo? How does it make you feel? Are you feeling a weirdo as in being a weirdo, or are you accepting the weirdo that you are, you know? And at the same time, it sounds like you're really caring about their judgment what they are about to say about you. And what would that matter to you?
Very good question, of course, because it really all comes back to, well, yeah, what are your thoughts about yourself? And that's really what's most important. I mean, I've lived with this sort of stuff, certainly from my mother, since I was 12 anyway. So and I've done a lot of work. I did 2 decades of spiritual work and inner work till I got to the point where I wasn't emotionally triggered if I got in an argument with her, and I could even laugh. And so I'm fairly neutral at the moment. I'm just sort of curious because no one has ever accused me of being anorexic. But I'm just imagining that would be a scary thing for them. And I think what I would do, I don't think I want to tell my mom too much about it. I mean, before I know it, in a few months, she'll be out of the house completely. So she won't be seeing my daily routine or my lack of daily routine as far as, mealtime is going on. I mean, I have already told them, well, I'm not eating anything. I'm on, particular fast. I haven't told them actually that, or my sister neither, that, oh yeah, I'm doing the breatharian thing. She did make some comment about, oh, you're gonna live off air. So she probably has a good idea that that's what I'm doing, because I mean, she knows I've talked about this before. So I'm just, I mean, for a long time, I don't really, well, even when I was a teenager, I really could give a shit what other people think, or my family, So I'm just trying to, how am I going to formulate the words? I'll probably, say, if you want more information, here, watch, this video, watch, go look. Because even I told my hairdresser, and she went and looked up Ray Moore, and, she says, wow, he's a good looking guy. And I said, yeah, I mean, he looks healthy, So you can't, so I guess they need more, they need more images like that to reassure them, sort of thing. And so, and otherwise, if my mom wants to get into, putting me down, which she, I'm anticipating it, she's not going to change now. I won't put up with it. I'll just tell both of them. If either of you are going to get into shea bashing or putting me down or insulting me, et cetera, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Right. And so they're going to have to, do something else with their negative thoughts. Right. But, so I'm feeling pretty, firm, like firm in where I am and what I'm doing. I guess wanted to know what ideas other people have on specifically how to deal with a very real concern. Like, I understand if they're concerned about somebody being into, anorexic, that's a serious disease, and young women die of it. They actually stop eating themselves to death. So how is it that, let's say, an anorexic can go on living and walking down the street, skin and bones? Yeah, what's the difference between that and me?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, yes, we work with energies and things like that, but there doesn't seem to be all that much of a difference. It's like, okay, I visualize the lake or whatever I'm visualizing, right? Filling my field with energy. It's kind of like a mind game in a way, except that we have this communication with our body, and a lot of times I feel I'm still not focused enough because so much is happening that my mind tends to go away. I really would like to be, and I will, have my moments of being more focused on the visualization and bringing that energy through rather than distracted by these thoughts and going, things, right? Okay, so that'll improve with time. So sometimes I think, well, gee whiz, maybe I'm just surviving because even an anorexic person survives, a certain amount of time not eating. Anyway, I'll let others people speak now. Okay, thanks you guys for listening.
I was gonna throw something out there. So, I mean, just in listening to you for these weeks, I didn't take you for somebody who's not pretty sturdy. So as far as them affecting you too much, but you know, if if you're soaked in crap all the time, you eventually stink. So you just don't want to hear it all the time, you know. So I can understand that. Um, and there's some sayings that I've kind of held on to through the years. There's this one. It's from the it's a Bible verse actually. It says, "Do not cast your pearls before swine." Okay, it's a good saying. It's the idea. There's just some people you just don't talk about good things with because they're not, they mean nothing to them. And so I'm careful. I mean, because I still have 8 children alive, and there's only a couple that I talk about anything extensively deep because they just can't hang, you know, and it's worthless to them. And then there's this other one. Jordan Peterson has a saying in a book called The 12 Rules for Life, whether you like them or not, but it's a good rule, and it's actually for your children, but it works for everything. It works for your marriage, and because I've said this to my wife, because my wife's feisty, and I'm pretty calm, and you never let somebody that's around you all the time act in a way that makes you not like them. And so what I'd say to your loved ones is, you can talk to me that way if you like, but I'm not going to like you if you continue it. So you make your choices wisely. Okay, make your choices wisely, because I really, really want to like you, but you're pushing it right now. Okay, and I'll say that because I mean, my wife knows I want to delight in her, and you can talk like that. You can do whatever you want. Okay, but I'm not gonna like you. You continue it. Your sister's that way. Your mother's that way, and that way they get to they have the power. They get to make the choice, and they get to decide whether you like them or not. And you know, and inevitably, if they screw with your frequency so much, you know what you got to do. I mean, you already know that.
Bingo,
Yeah.
Matt. That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for. Just like that.
I mean, it's one of those things.
Something
Oh, go ahead.
Something
I
quick
was
to
just
say
gonna
to
s-
them that really just stops everything right there and makes them think. You know, that's the one saying it. I mean, Jordan Peterson, I love the guy. But anyway, saying that is a nice way of saying what I said before. Well, if you're gonna, put me down, then I'm out of here. Right? Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna put up with it. So they need to, yeah. But that's
Yeah,
what I want to say to them. Thank you.
it's given them respect to have their freedom to do whatever they like, but understanding you won't tolerate disrespect. I mean, respecting yourself, I mean, that's the beginning of everybody respecting you, you know, and just having reasonable boundaries. And so, and there's this other one I really like. I don't know if this is original or not, but I'll say it, is when it comes down to you push me, you say, just understand this. So we got each other straight. I didn't ask your permission, and I'm not seeking your approval. This is what I'm doing, you know, and that's the end. You do what you want to do, but understand I wasn't asking you. So, but that's when people just get obnoxious.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you. Sounds like you've been supporting each other through those little gems. That's the whole idea. Beautiful. So shall we finish? Or unless there's anything else? Yeah. Well, thank you so much for showing up and supporting each other, and wishing you the wonderful, magical next week of integrating it with ups and lows, and just being with it, whatever comes up. And feel free as well to reach out to each other through WhatsApp, remembering that you have each other's as well. It's not just this once a week, you're there all the time. So, and if you feel like being the one reaching out and just, or checking in with someone else, how they feeling, maybe some of us who are not here, feel free to do that too. Thank you. Much love. And see you next week.